Today we are going to talk about two ways of maintaining capital account. Okay. Do you know capital account belongs to whom?
Firm?
Huh? Do
No,
you
wait,
know
no, it
capital
belongs to
account
the
belongs
owner.
to whom? It belongs to the owners. Okay. Now, what is capital?
Capital is the amount of money that's invested on business by owner.
Capital is the amount of money that is invested by the owner into the business. So I would say that the owner would get in certain money into the bank.
Yes, ma'am.
Capital always has a credit balance. Capital always have a credit balance. I have the owner X and I have the owner Y. So the
Right.
owner can get in some money into the bank. Say he is getting 1 and 2 into the business. Okay. Then when the business starts, the business might need the owners to get in some additional capital. So maybe X has got additional capital of 3. So capital always has a credit balance. Then below that you have additional capital. Then whatever
Okay.
partner gets from the business, whatever the partner gets from the business comes on the credit side. They will get
So,
interest on capital, salary, commission, and share of profit. Are you with me?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. At the same time, they can withdraw money from the business.
Yes,
Partners can withdraw money from the business. Can they or cannot they?
they can.
They can withdraw the money from the business. So when they withdraw the money from the business, it is called drawings.
Right.
If they have share of profit, it comes over here. And if they have share in loss, it comes over here.
Yes, ma'am.
There can also be interest on drawings, which comes over here.
Interest on.
They can also have interest on drawings that comes over here. So if I
Yes,
say
ma'am.
the opening capital of partner is 1 and 2, additional capital is 3, interest on capital maybe it is the same amount for both the partners, 5 and 5. They're getting salary of 3 and 2, and share of profit is 1 and 1.
More than one.
Okay. They don't have any drawings. There is no loss. There is no interest on drawings. In that
Yes, ma'am.
case, if I close this capital account balance, can you give me the total of X capital?
Yes, ma'am.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And Y will become 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this 13
10.
I will write here, 10 I will write here. The closing balance of the partner's capital will become 13 and 10. Are you with me?
10. Yes, ma'am.
Opening capital is how much?
1 and 2.
Closing capital is how much?
13 and 10.
So tell me, is the opening capital different from the closing capital?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
It is different, right? Opening
Yes, ma'am.
capital was 1 for X and 2 for Y. Then
Yes.
everything that we record in the capital account happened, and then we arrived at a closing capital which became 13 for X and 10 for Y.
10 from. Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. That means the capital account was different at the start and it is different at the end.
Different.
So can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
say the capital balances are fluctuated?
Yes, ma'am, they fluctuate.
Capital balances have fluctuated. So when the opening capital is not equal to the closing capital, that means the balances of capital are fluctuating. Why do they
Fluctuating.
fluctuate? Because of interest on drawings, interest on capital, share of profit, everything that is given to the partner. So when you do all the adjustment related to the partners in one account, that is partners capital account, that means we are preparing capital account under the fluctuating capital method.
Yes, ma'am.
Why I say it's prepared under the fluctuating capital method? Because the capital account balances of the partners are fluctuating.
Yes, ma'am.
But, but if the partners don't want their balances to fluctuate at all. They want the capital account balance to remain what? Fixed.
Fixed.
They want the capital account balance to remain fixed. They don't want the capital account balance to change at all. In that case, they prepare two accounts for the capital. One account is called the capital account. Second account is called the current account.
Current account.
So this is done when the partners decide to keep their capital account balances fixed. So this is fixed
Fixed.
capital account method. So in that you prepare a partner's capital account where here you write only the opening balances. If there is additional capital, you write over here. If there is capital withdrawn, you write over here, and closing balance, you write over here. Same, opening capital is 1 and 2. There is no extra capital that is brought in. If there is any extra capital, say 3 is for X. There is no capital withdrawn. So the closing balance of partner's capital will be here. It is 424242.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Opening capital and closing capital balance will always remain the same only if there is no additional capital. Capital balances will remain
Remains
fixed.
same.
Will
Yes, ma'am.
remain fixed. That means we are following which capital account method? Fixed capital account
Fixed
method.
capital account
That means
method.
there is no additional capital. Here, if I close it, X will have 1 and 2. So the closing capital will become 1 and 2. So opening capital is equal to the closing capital. I'm repeating again. Opening capital is equal to the closing capital.
Closing capital.
Opening capital is equal to the closing capital. If there is no additional capital, that means we are following fixed capital method. Which method?
Fixed capital method.
So in fixed capital method, you make two accounts for partners capital. One is the partner's
Partner's
capital account.
capital account.
One is the partner's current account.
Partner's current account.
So current account will have their own balances. Interest on capital, salary, share of profit will come in the current account. Okay. Same way,
Yes, ma'am.
drawings, interest on drawings, share in the losses will come in the current account. So the capital account will have only opening capital, closing capital. All the adjustments that is related to capital will come where? In the current account.
Current account.
So when you follow fixed capital method, how many capital accounts do you have?
Two capital accounts.
When you follow fluctuating capital account method, how many capital accounts you have?
One.
One. So I want you to first write about fluctuating capital method, prepare the account, and then write about the fixed capital method and prepare the account. In fluctuating capital method, all the adjustments related to partners is done in one account.
One account.
In fixed capital method, all adjustment related to partners is done in the current account.
Current account.
Someone start writing. Can you read the fluctuating capital method for me?
Yes, ma'am. In fluctuating capital method, the capital account balances of partner keeps on changing. The opening capital will never be equal to closing capital. And all adjustments relating to partners are done in only one partner's capital account. Only one account.
This is the format of the partner's capital account under the fluctuating capital method.
Yes, ma'am.
Partners are sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 3:2.
Yes, ma'am.
Firm is maintaining fluctuating capital method.
Fluctuating.
When I say fluctuating capital method means what?
On partner's capital account. Right?
Keeps on changing.
Yeah, it keeps on changing.
Fluctuating. That means a partner's capital account keeps on
Partner's capital Keeps on changing. Yes.
Yes, are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So partner's capital account keeps on changing and everything is done in one account. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything is done in one account. What are
One
the
account.
partners? Vihan and Man.
Yeah, ma'am.
On the last date, that is 31st March 2022, the balances of the partners' capital account is 4 lakh and 465. That means this is the
Yes, ma'am.
closing balance. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
4 lakh and 465. During the year is 65,000 each. Drawings during the year is how much?
65,000 each.
Interest on capital is 10%.
Just on capital is 10%.
I don't know interest on capital because interest on capital will always be on the opening balance. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Calculate the opening capital of Vihan given that the divisible profit was 225. What is the divisible profit? The profit that has to be distributed amongst the partners.
Among the partners.
So the divisible profit is 225. Vihan is going to get 3/5 of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Vihan is going to get 3/5 of it. So I would say Vihan is going to get 225,000 into 3 divided by 5. So he is going to get 1,35,000. What
Okay.
do they want from us? Opening capital of Vihan.
Opening capital of hands.
Suppose if the opening capital of Vihan is 100, suppose. So
Yes.
interest on capital would be 10% of it.
Yes, 10%.
Yeah. So capital plus the interest on capital would sum up to how much? 100 is capital. Interest on capital would be 10%. So capital plus interest on
110.
capital would sum up to 110. So now let's only calculate for Vihan. What would be the capital and interest on capital sum up to? What is the total of debit?
Total of debit is 465.
4,65,000.
Yes.
465,000 minus 135,000. This will become how much? 330,000.
330. Yes.
330,000 represents 110
Yes, ma'am.
for
Understand.
capital and interest on capital both.
Yes, ma'am.
330,000 represents 110. So what would be 10? What is 10 interest on capital?
Interest on capital. So you
So
will divide
330,000
times 10 divided by 100
and 10.
and 110. Okay.
11 ones are 11 threes are. So interest on
30,000.
capital is 30,000. Hmm? So
Yes, ma'am.
capital would be how
Interest on
much?
capital is 30,000.
Capital would be 3 lakh
3 lakh.
because both this
10%.
comes up
Yeah.
to 330,000. 10.
30,000.
So answer would be option. They want the opening capital of Vihan. Answer would be option D. Please try,
D.
understand, figure out, and then let me know. Okay?
Okay,
Do
ma'am.
it yourself once or two times with the calculation. Now understand? You want to know how much will each partner get, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Appropriation of profits. A's capital is 300,000, B has 100,000, and
300,000.
C has nothing.
Nothing.
C manages, so he wants 30,000 as salary. Deed is
Yes,
silent.
ma'am, but the deed is silent.
Firm is getting a profit of 150.
150.
In the absence of deed, salary is allowed
No, ma'am.
and profits have to be distributed
Equally.
amongst.
amongst your partners,
A, B, and C. So it will go
A, B,
how
and C.
much? 50-50?
50,
Yeah?
25. Yes, ma'am.
Easy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
come on, try this one. This is again a specimen question paper 20 to 23.